This is D. Lindley Young, aka Wild Bill Lindley. I write in the name of D. Lindley Young, and you can go on the internet and search and compare your opinion with mine. Also, I've done hundreds of radio shows as Wild Bill Lindley, which was my grandfather's name. One of the papers I write for is the Knoxville Journal. So if you put D. Lindley Young, the Knoxville Journal, you'll get my current stuff. This week, my article is Landmines for Civil Unrest in America. And what I'm pointing out in that article is basically the state of the world, the turmoil, the uprising, the rebellions, etc. that are occurring around the world. And people are people no matter where they are. So there is a civil unrest going on, and what it's teaching people is that protests or demonstrations can make a difference. They toppled the governments in Egypt. They toppled the government in Tunisia. Yemen is hanging on. Syria is having to oppress the people with brutal killings and tortures, etc. There is a grassroots uprising around the world from which America is not immune. In fact, America has a history of rebellion, starting with the Boston Tea Party, the whiskey riots, on up until in the 20th century you had the WTO riots in Seattle. You had the 1967 riots at the Democratic National Convention. You had the riots in response to Rodney King in LA. You had racial riots across the nation in an incountable number of cities. So now we've got movements like the Tea Party that shows up and protests, and therefore smaller government, cutting the deficit, just the basic things that a lot of people agree with. And then you've got a segment, it's called the militia movement, which is spread across a country with thousands and thousands of members in virtually every county and every state in the United States. So you got to pay attention to that. These people are armed. They go out and they train and practice in the woods. A lot of them are survivalists, and for the most part, they're law-abiding, but they say they will defend against any totalitarian clampdowns that attempt to be imposed upon them. I know specifically those in East Tennessee say that if there is a totalitarian government, which could be our own, that attempts to oppress us and take our rights, they will fight for us. They're probably analogous to many of the rebels, as they call them, or protesters or anti-government movements around the country, around the world. And the makings for civil unrest are definitely here in America. In the article I wrote this week on civil unrest in America, I speak of how desperate people are fearless, and how hungry bellies are fearless, and that hungry bellies and a combination of economic oppression stimulates unrest and emboldens people to protest against what they see to be their oppressor. You can read more about it. I'm going to do more on the militias in the upcoming weeks, so be looking for my reports to you, America. I'm D. Lindley Young. I just want to add a couple of other things. I'd like to say that our government has passed a House Bill 645, which ostensibly is for the purpose of housing and feeding, etc., people that are the result of national disasters or some kind of terrorist attack. However, many are calling this law, which is implemented by the Homeland Security, by FEMA, they're calling it FEMA internment camps, and they are fashioned on the model of a Guantanamo. And it may be one of those things when you check in, you don't check out. In addition, our troops, and this has been reported and it's been confirmed by military generals, our troops are converting from Iraq and Afghanistan war theaters to squelch civil unrest. Many believe that will be a violation of posse comitatus, which prevents the U.S. military from imposing civil law. However, all of this is in place. It's serious. We don't know when it's going to happen, but something is potentially going to happen. Signing off, D. Lindley Young. Look for my next report.